Hi everyone. I'm going to do a quick video on how I sharpen my bowl gouges. To anybody that's an established wood turner that's been doing it for years, might not be that helpful. To anybody getting started, it might be very helpful. So I have a two-part system that I have here. I have a Tormek attachment on my low-speed grinder. I have a 180 grit CBN wheel on it. Then you come over here on my Tormek T8, I have the diamond fine wheel on here. So this is basically used to rehone or resharpen a gouge that's already the right shape. This I will come over to after 25, 35 sharpenings. Occasionally the gouge will start becoming a shape that just isn't quite right, so I'll come back over here, I'll reshape the gouge slightly. And then when I have it reshaped on here, I'll come right over to the Tormek. I have this set up, it's about 1 degree steeper than this, so I will just sharpen the edge. And as I sharpen and sharpen over again on the Tormek, I'll start to notice that I'm sharpening further and further down the bevel. And generally after it's been sharpened down the full width of the bevel for 10, 15 sharpenings, I'll come back over here and reshape it just a little bit. That system and setup seems to work really well for me. I'm probably a little bit pickier than most when it comes to sharpening, mainly because all of my own work is green to finish thickness when it comes to bowls. So green wood fibers are softer. They're harder to sever cleanly than a dried piece of wood, so my gouges have to be very, very sharp all the time. So I tend to sharpen constantly. So anyhow, I'm going to go through how the Tormek jig works. Like I said, you don't have to get the Tormek jig. There's a lot of other jigs out there. I just think that especially when you're beginning, you're better off to have something that's going to give you repeatable results, so that when you go to your lathe and you start turning, you know exactly what to expect that grind to do. So like this is a 60-degree grind. It's gonna do the same thing for me every time I go to the lathe because it's sharpened exactly the same. So that said, all right, so on the Tormek, this tool is kind of a multifunctional tool. So like for this, in this case, I'm sharpening a 60-degree grind. So I know that I need this hole to go here. That sets up the distance this way. And then, super simple, the gouge goes through the holder. This gives you the distance. I really wish they didn't make these out of plastic. They end up denting in over time, but it works fine. So once that's tightened, simply come over here. So normally, if you're sharpening, you're not going to be taking that much steel off. This just needed reshaped a little bit. So, yeah. Now, at this point, hold on one second. So at this point, this gouge is very sharp. So while this is only a 180 grit wheel, and most people would say use a finer grit, you'll get a sharper tool. It's not really true that it'll be sharper. The edge will be more honed. So what I mean by that So if you were to take a picture, a very close-up picture of the edge of that gouge and blow it up a lot, you would see that being the edge, and you would see little fibers sticking up. So if I took this gouge right now and started turning wood, it would be very, very sharp. It wouldn't stay sharp for super long because these little fibers are going to start getting torn up, and it's going to start dulling the edge of that tool reasonably quick. So you know, a 180 grit is a good grit for just all around work. You know, if you have like an 80 for shaping and then maybe a 320, you're going to get a more refined edge. It's not going to be necessarily sharper. But for me, you know, at this point, without moving this holder, I have my T8 set up just a hair steeper, so like maybe 1 degree steeper than this. So when I come over here, I'm only going to be hitting just a little bit of that edge. And then every time I come back over to the sharpener, it's going to come down a little bit further on that bevel. Once the sharpening is hitting that full length of the bevel, usually within 20 or so sharpenings after that, the shape's going to start getting a little bit wonky, and then I'll come back over here, reshape it, and start the whole process over again. So a tip that might work for you if you are new and you just don't know whether you're getting your gouges sharpened or not. You know, take a Sharpie and mark up that whole bevel, especially right at the cutting edge. I apologize for the beeping in the background. I live across the street from a hospital, and they have been under construction for months, and it's nonstop. So if you think it's irritating hearing the beep, 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 I'll trade you places for a little bit. Okay, so I don't know if you can see this or not. Come on. Yeah, kind of. So you can see where I have black Sharpie right up to that edge. So now, that edge now, hopefully you'll be able to see where that black marker ends and where the Tormek has taken just that upper 16th inch and honed it. So this gouge is now not only very sharp, but it has an edge that's going to hold up a lot longer. So now that we've gone over that, do I recommend you go out and get a T8 if you're starting to turn wood? No. If you're turning a lot, you will likely find that you will actually save money spending the money on a T8. So before I switched to using the Tormek for bowl gouge sharpening all the time, I was going through a bowl gouge once every 6 weeks, probably 7 weeks, which is crazy. Now a bowl gouge will last me a year and a half. So, you know, granted, I have 6 bowl gouges of every grind that I use that are all sharpened and ready to go, so that I'm not going back and forth constantly. But I'm saving myself a significant amount of money in steel by sharpening on the T8 constantly. You know, will you save that much? Probably not. I might be a little heavy-handed when I'm over here on the sharpener. I sharpen a lot because I'm green to finish for the most part. You know, is the T8 worth it? I think it is. But like I said, it's certainly not a necessity. I also use it for things other than wood turning. So, you know, I mean, just simple things like, you know, I sharpen my pocket knife, you know, once a week, usually just on the leather honing wheel. My wife is a hobbyist, you know, sewer, quilt maker, clothes maker. So sharpening her very good, fabric shears my kitchen, chef's knives, etc. So I'm using it for a lot more than just wood turning, but its primary purpose for me is wood turning. So anyhow, everybody, I hope this has been helpful. Like I said, you don't have to get the Tormek jig. You could go with any brand out there. I just think it's important that you're getting repeatable results, however you're sharpening. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. I'll answer the best I can. And yeah, hope this helped everybody. Take care.